Ladies and gentlemen, would everyone please stand for the pledge? At this time, I'd like to introduce Christopher Shrive, Old Forge, United States Army. Chris served the United States Army from 1990 to 1994, attaining the rank of Specialist E4, and is a combat veteran of Operation Desert Storm. He served the 2nd and 34th Armored Battalion in Fort Riley, Kansas, 1st Infantry Division, known as the Big Red One. All of us know that name. He was awarded 3 Bronze Stars clusters in the liberation of Kuwait. Chris also does volunteer work at St. Francis Commons for the homeless veterans. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for your service. The floor is yours. Step up to the microphone, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for your service, sir. Okay. At this time, we would like to have a moment of silence for United States Department of Homeland Security, Customs, Border Protection for the United States Border Patrol agent Robert Hutton, who died while attempting to locate a group of 7 suspected illegal aliens. Falls County Sheriff's Office, Texas. Deputy Sheriff Matt Jones was struck and killed while assisting in a disabled motor vehicle. Indiana State Police, Indiana. Trooper Peter Stevens was killed by a single-car vehicle responding to assist a deputy at the scene of a crash. Gallatin County Sheriff's Department Office, Montana. Deputy Sheriff Alvarez was struck and killed by his patrol car when it slid on ice. Please keep our first responders that lost their lives and their families in our thoughts and prayers, because I don't know where we'd be without our first responders and all of our servicemen and servicewomen that are fighting on behalf of our freedoms every day. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers for a moment of silence. Thank you. I'd like to bring this Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019 Board of Commissioners meeting tomorrow to order at 10:05 a.m. in the Commissioners Conference Room at 123 Wyoming Avenue at the Lackawanna County Government Center at the Globe. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani.
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes. Proclamation presentations. October 20th, 2019 is Teen Driver Safety Week in Lackawanna County. Christine, would you like to come up? I have a teenager who's been driving for the last 2 years, and I think one of the scariest moments was handing him the keys to the car, and he was going out. He didn't like that too much, but he's 18, and he's doing a lot better driving than he did when he was 16. Christina?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'd like to introduce Chris Lingle. He is the statewide Pennsylvania project coordinator with Buckle Up Pennsylvania, and he will speak just for a brief time just to explain some of the program. According to the National Highway Safety Transportation Administration, vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for teens 15 to 18 years old, ahead of any other type of injury, disease, or violence. We are here today during National Teen Driver Safety Week to raise awareness about teen-safe driving practices and to emphasize the rules of the road. Adults and parents are the biggest influencers on teen choices behind the wheel and on stressing the importance of the rules of the road. The greatest dangers for teen drivers: impaired driving, seatbelt use, distracted and drowsy driving, speeding, the number of passengers. The messages are simple. Don't drive impaired. Buckle up every trip, every time, everyone, front seat and back. Eyes on the road, hands on the wheel, all the time. Don't drive distracted. Obey all posted speed limits and limit passengers. Law enforcement agencies across Pennsylvania participated in the Teen Education and Enforcement Mobilization from October 15th through October 26th, which also coincides with National Teen Driving Safety Week. In Lackawanna County, Archibald Borough, Dunmore Borough, Scott Township, South Abington Township, the City of Carbondale, and the City of Scranton all participated in this coordinated effort of enforcement and education. We are just here to raise awareness and also to acknowledge these departments, along with all of our other law enforcement agencies, for their efforts in keeping our youth safe on the roads. We also have Chief Timothy Trentley here from Archibald Borough Police Department. Chief Sal Marquez is with Dunmore, Captain William Springer, also from Dunmore. Chief Jared Gans from Scott Township, Chief Robert Garrity, Patrolman Henry D. Zimmer from South Abington, Chief Brian Bognatz and Patrolman Jeffrey Arthur from the City of Carbondale, City of Scranton Chief Carl Graziano, Corporal Justin Butler is the highway safety person in the police department, and we also have Len Namatka here today, and Chris Lingle.
I'd just like to say something real quick. Mark, I want you to scan the room. I want the viewing audience to understand, like, when we built this building, this is why we have such a big conference room. Because look at everyone we have here today, especially all of our law enforcement. Thank you for being here. Because, all of us have kids and relatives that are teenagers and stuff, and it's scary. Because, their distractions are so much more than we were kids. The kids are texting and driving, and hopefully they're not. There's handheld freed options, but how kids are. No one ever thinks they're going to die when you're a teenager. The problem is that teenagers do die, and it's better for us to be out here talking about it and letting them know that this is real, and we want you to be safe, and we want you to get home. We want you to graduate. We want you to be productive citizens. But I'd like to thank all of you in law enforcement for being here today, because it just shows that this isn't just about making sure the streets are criminal-free. It's about making sure that our kids are safe, and that at the forefront of your thoughts is making sure that our kids aren't speeding and they're driving properly and they're as safe as they possibly could be. So thank you for being here today, all of you. Thank you.
It's both an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to you today. I want to thank you for the invitation. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but as Christina said, my name is Chris Langle. I'm the project coordinator for Buckle Up, Pennsylvania. We're a project under PennDOT where we fund departments to go out and augment their occupant protection enforcement efforts. We also introduce an enforcement and education part of it too as a countermeasure that NHTSA has shown to be very effective, and that's the high visibility enforcement that we use. Our responsibility is we get crash data from Pennsylvania looking at occupant-related crashes and unbelted crashes. And what we do is we select the top 350 departments across the Commonwealth and provide them additional funding to address their seatbelt issues. Seatbelt usage in Pennsylvania is only 88% right now. Most of you may think that's very high, but we still have 12% of the population that we need to get to encourage and change their behavior to start utilizing their seatbelts. For example, in 2017, 37,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes across the United States. 47% of those were not wearing their seatbelts. It is estimated that just under 15,000 lives were saved by wearing the seatbelt. And also, if everybody across the United States was wearing their belts, another 2,500 people would have been saved. So part of our job is when we look across the room and we see law enforcement here, it's important to stress that they can't do their job unless they have the support of their communities and their commissioners and the county as a whole. Traffic safety is an issue that needs to be addressed by everybody, not just by law enforcement. Seatbelt enforcement is not a glorious job by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a necessary job. And we need to support these men and women in law enforcement to go out there and issue those citations in order to change the behavior so that when our teens start growing up and get out there, that they have that basis to continue wearing that seatbelt. What we're starting to see is it's a primary violation for a 16 or a 17-year-old not to be wearing a seatbelt in their vehicle. But we're noticing as soon as they turn 18, they stop using that seatbelts. So we're trying to continue that use of the seatbelts to make sure that they're still around. But I want to thank you for your time today. Another round of applause to all our men and women in law enforcement.
I have to have someone else come say a few words. There's one person in this room that I know that's dealt with this devastation head on. That's my good friend Eileen Miller. Would like to come and say a few words.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eileen Miller. Unfortunately, in 2010, I lost my son, Paul Miller Jr., to a semi-truck driver who was distracted. I really want to say thank you to all the police officers here who go out and see the aftermath of what I had, which was 2 state troopers come to my door and tell me that my son was killed by a semi-truck driver. I'm now down in Harrisburg fighting very strongly for HB 37, which is the hands-free bill. Hands-free is not risk-free, but is a step in the right direction where law enforcement can enforce the hands-free bill, which means if they're holding it in their hand, they will be pulled over. They will get a $200 fine, and it's not $200 is not worth it, but they will also have to have a distracted driving awareness fund that will go into. It's been a very hard fight. It's a common sense law. Common sense. Do not be on your phone. My thing is turn the phone off. Hands-free definitely is not risk-free. Like I said, your brain is still not where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be just drive. Every time you get into that vehicle, put your phone off. There is no text, no phone call, no Snapchat, nothing worth someone's life. Nothing. I'm the ultimate person to tell you that. My son was supposed to become a police officer. Unfortunately, he never got that chance. So I really want to thank everybody here in this room. I want to tell everybody, if your representative is not on this bill, it's too late to actually co-sponsor because it's right now in the House. Hopefully in October we'll get it out. We'll get it through the House and get it to the Senate, and it will be the land of the law in Pennsylvania. But like I said, everybody, please, there is no text, phone call, anything worth the person's life. Even hands-free is not risk-free, but it is a step in the right direction so our law enforcement can enforce this bill. Just please get in your car and just drive safely. I use the acronym when I'm out speaking in all these schools, colleges, PASS. P is for no phone, A is for no alcohol, anything addictive, S is for no speeding, and the other S is to always, always, always wear your seatbelt. If we did this every single time we got into our vehicles, we would all arrive to our destinations alive. Thank you very kindly, and everybody have a safe day. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cummings?
Well, I'm so proud of our law enforcement is here. Congratulations on all the work that you do. Thank you for being there for our citizens. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for the work that you're all doing. I appreciate it.
I just wanted to mention that we did have Eileen, who is a safety advocate in the community, our Lackawanna County Commissioners. John Morgan is our law enforcement liaison. Brenda Sacco, who's been supportive of all the programs that we do. And another safety partner is Office of Drug and Alcohol Programs in Lackawanna County, which would be Jeff Thomas, Barbara Durkin, who are out there doing a wonderful job. And, of course, our district attorney, Mark Powell, and Brian Gallagher also. Thank you, everyone.
Commissioner Terriani?
Just thank you all for your hard and dedicated work. Thank the state for the money, and thank the law enforcement for their support, and Christine for organizing it all and getting everyone to be on the same page. Thank you all.
I was expecting to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I knew that we were having this today. Eileen came into the room, and Eileen's been working on this bill for, oh my God, like years and years and years. For a parent to lose a child is the worst thing that possibly ever could happen to a parent, ever. And Eileen took her tragedy and moved it forward to try to make sure that other parents would never have to go through the devastation that she went through. you know, it was so sad because it wasn't her son. He was in Texas. It was a truck driver that ran into him and killed him. And he was going to be somebody, he was going to have impact, but she took it up, and he still has impact even though he's not here. So I'd like to make a motion that we endorse the Paul Miller law.
I didn't read it. I don't know what it's about.
What it is basically is that everything is hands held. That's not hands held. Hands free, hands free. And that you're not texting while you're driving. That's basically the law.
Does it involve soda and food and all that
No,
too?
it just involves the fact that people get distracted when they're driving. And the big thing is that the phone is actually in their hands. This would be the device that's basically going through your phone. It would be a Bluetooth, basically.
Shouldn't do that to me.
What's that? Second?
Yeah, could I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I'm sorry to do that to anybody, but
didn't
she's
even
here in
read it.
front
I
of
don't
us,
know
and
what it
this,
is.
I know the law real well. Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani? Commissioner Cummings?
Well, I'm going to get chastised for this, but I'm going to have to abstain because I did not read that, so I don't know what it's about.
Okay. Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. It really matters. Thank you. Okay, 19-0270, small businesses. Commissioner Cummings.
Commissioner, you have a proclamation to read for the...
Oh, geez, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep.
Was you thinking? Christine, we're gonna have everyone come up for one. Read this real quick. Whereas the National Teen Driver Safety Week is October 20th to the 26th of 2019. This week and every week, the parents should have conversations with their teens about the importance of the rules they need to follow to stay safe and behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. These rules address the greatest dangers for teen drivers: impaired drivers, seatbelt use, distracted and drowsy drivers, speeding, and a number of passengers. Whereas motor vehicle crashes are a leading cause of death for teens 15 to 18 years of age, exceeding the rate of suicides and homicides and all other causes of death among the population of the group. And whereas research in 2012 on the causes of motor vehicle accidents conclude that many such accidents were preventable, and prevailed upon Congress to establish the National Teen Driver Safety Week in October, the month of the greatest number of teenage accidents. And whereas Lackawanna County had 287 accidents involving teenagers in 2018, including one fatality, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania had 6,453 such accidents, including 26 fatalities. The message is simple: seatbelts save lives. Now, therefore, we, Patrick O'Malley, Jerry Notarianni, and Lorraine A. Cummings, Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, do hereby and acknowledge and proclaim October 20th through October 26, 2019 as National Teen Driver Safety Week in Lackawanna County. On behalf of the 214,000 citizens, congratulations. Would you like to come forward? Let's bring all law enforcement. Everyone can come up.
Thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I think I've seen you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
Thank you. This is the safest room in Lackawanna County right here. What's up, boss? How you guys doing, all right?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your support, John Wood.
How do you want to do this? You want somebody up in front, or how do you want?
I think it's,
Where are we standing?
if you just step back, Commissioner O'Malley,
Okay.
all right?
Where do you want me?
Commissioner Cummings, I want you to do the same thing. Step back in front of Mike there.
Right up there, young man.
Jeff, how about we move you down this end?
I'm not
Do
grabbing
that?
the property line.
Okay. Perfect. I think we can see everybody. Everybody look at me and smile. Take a couple pictures here. One with the flash. Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you. Oh my God!
Thank you.
Now, the small business that we're having coming in today, I'm sure everybody saw it on the news and saw it in the paper. I knew Commissioner Cummings would love this.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully not thrown under the bus now on
We
this
won't
one.
throw it at bus. Let's back up
Like I
over.
just was on the other one.
I thought this was really neat. It's 2019, and a local manufacturer. All of us had the little plastic soldiers. All of us did. We all had them. I mean, they've been around forever. Now they make a female version, and I think it's really, really cool. And it was on the news, and it's a local manufacturer, a local business that does it. So who do we have from the business that's here today? Come on up and let's talk about the soldiers. I'm sure you brought a couple with you. Did you bring a couple with you?
Maybe.
Cool.
Did you make one for the first female commissioner of Lackawanna County?
The grenade. That's the one with the one throwing the grenade.
They have not been made yet.
Hey, John, you got to see it the way it is.
They have not been made yet.
My
This is a
solicitor
prototype. So I do have a prototype here that you can take a look at.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let's see. My name is Jeff Immel. Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
My company is Victory by Ink, and my company currently specializes in
they do
offering
that
production of vintage toys made from new production of vintage toys made from old toy molds.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are plastic army men. And I never planned to have a toy soldier company. Didn't intend it at all. It was kind of the unintended result of a business philosophy, which I think is pretty simple, is to try stuff, do more of what works, and less of what doesn't. And here we are. My BMC Toys brand has recently received just a little bit of media attention for a really simple product idea that really seemed to strike a chord with a lot of people, especially women in the military. It's a set of female toy soldiers in the style of the classic little green army men that you were just talking about. I've offered this type of toy in my business as part of e-commerce for many, many years. And every now and then someone would ask, do you have any female toy soldiers? And after many years of not finding anything to serve those customers, I decided to float the idea of making my own set of original plastic army women. I announced this as a potential project last year, and not much happened. I got busy with some other projects, and I got a little bit of interest in it, not a ton. And then I received a letter from a little girl asking, why don't you make women army men? And next thing I know, I'm being interviewed by Steve Hartman for the CBS Evening News. It escalated really fast.
Yeah, I bet.
From that point, the story traveled far and wide, from our local news stations and newspaper to really all across the world now. And the most recent milestone was this past Sunday. The story appeared in the New York Times. So now I'm working very hard to complete the development of the project. There's a lot that goes into something like this. It's a simple thing, but it's still lots of decisions and a lot of things have to happen. And I need to keep my promise that I made on TV to have Plastic Army Women available for Christmas 2020. And because I made that promise on TV, you know I have to do it.
The orders got to be coming in.
I have a large number of requests for pre-orders. I don't have that in place yet, but next month I'm going to be launching a crowdfunding campaign so people can pre-order them, and we can expand the number of figures in the set to make it an even larger and nicer toy. I'm working really hard to complete that project. I currently work with 3 different factories. One is in Michigan, and the other is Northeastern Plastics, which is just a few blocks from here in downtown Scranton, which who knew? So I don't have all the production details worked out yet, but these little toys that have caused all this fuss might just be produced just a few blocks from here.
That'd be great.
And this is the first prototype, which we had as an original sculpt.
You got to bring that for Commissioner
this
Cummings
is-
to look at that.
Absolutely.
That's not the one throwing the grenade, is it? Okay.
No, this is what this pose is called the Pathfinder Captain. And
Oh, you got a gun.
She does. She's
Yes, I do, actually.
And we're finishing.
Does she have
up-
short hair? I can't tell.
She does have short hair. That was
Okay.
actually a very large issue with this. Is original sketches that was done by my sister, who's
Cool.
a well-known artist, Tina Immel. Had a little bit longer hair. We used a lot of reference from the WACs, the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps from World War II, and some of them had a little bit longer hair. Military women told me that is not regulation, and they were very unhappy with that. So we worked very hard to try and bring the hairstyle in line with what they were telling me is more appropriate.
Well, Joan is here, isn't she? Where's Joan?
Joan, yeah, there's Joan.
Should give that to Joan.
I'm sure Joan probably.
Yeah, very cool.
Do you have more than one or no? I'll have to give it to her for a gift.
But
That's about all I have for prepared comments. If you have any
Joan,
questions?
Joan is actually 30 years in the 30,
Joan, come up and tell us about your service. in the-
33 years.
Tell her to come up.
Yeah, come on for a second, Joan. This is kind of a special moment. You know what I mean? I bet when you were going into the Army that they didn't have little green plastic women soldiers at that point.
This is a prototype.
Hey, well, she's got a better profile. You know what I mean? I just think it's fantastic that for young girls coming up, that the sky's the limit, that anything they are capable and qualified to do, the doors will be open, and I think it's about damn time.
Yeah, good. That's right,
Oh,
Joan.
good job. I
And
feared
thank you for
Commissioner
your
Keller's
service.
like this one. Yes.
Well, yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, you see in today's day where they're trying to take the individuality of women away from them at this point. It's sad what's happening in our community, in our country right now. But I, for one, am proud to be a female and never want that taken away from me. And I think that we have special qualities that make us female. And, you know, I mean, I am quite a fighter when it comes to public policy and politics, but I couldn't go in a ring with you, buddy, you know. And I certainly couldn't go up against Joan, that's for sure. She's a tough cookie, but, you know, there are some women that can, and we're just all very individual, and I think that we're losing that individuality in society today, and I think you're bringing something out that has been needed for a long time, so thank you very much, I appreciate that. And to that little girl who made that phone call, good for her, you know. That's awesome. I mean, did you ever get her name, or was she on the news, or what happened? I didn't see
received
it.
an email from her mom that had a handwritten letter that she had done because she had received some Army men and was playing with her brother, and then it dawned on her that none of them were women, and she wasn't connecting with them. You know, a friend of hers has a mom who's in the military, and so her mom sent me that through email, and I just responded to her mom and said, hey, this is an idea I've been thinking about. You can sign up for the newsletter. If I get enough people interested, we'll do it. And she had posted it a couple places, and it got picked up by the news media, her local news media, and then it kind of got out of hand from there.
So she was on the news.
Absolutely,
was.
yes. She's been featured in many of the stories, even the local stories done by Christine Schalhoop. She actually got a station down there to go and interview her. And also CBS Evening News, about half the story featured the little girl and her family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I don't believe anything they say, but that I guess is true, except for those
We
stories.
do live in the post-truth era, so
Yes,
I
yes, we
understand.
do. So thank you for bringing some sanity into the news, because it certainly needs it today.
You know, it's as this. I didn't plan for any of this. I just kind of rolled with the punches in many ways. But as I thought more about this project, I realized that when kids are playing with these little toys, they're working out their problems. And I've actually received letters from therapists that have kind of reinforced this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't seek those out. They've come to me. And every kid wants to be the hero of their own story. And whether they're connecting with Davy Crockett or a Plastic Army Man or a dinosaur or a robot, it doesn't matter. But just these little toys will help some kids somewhere feel like they're the hero of their story at playtime. But it's also going a step further, and it's kind of connecting people with heroes you never really thought about, which are there are a lot of women who served in the military with a lot of distinction for a very long time. One of the first active service members who was not a nurse was Loretta Prefectus Walsh, who was a resident and is buried in Oliphant. And she signed up for the Navy in World War I. And I would have never known that if it wasn't for this project and then military women sending me stories about, you know, women who were important in our history.
We
And
have
so-
Lieutenant Ann Drasbud who died during Vietnam.
Yeah.
Was a nurse.
Absolutely.
Lieutenant.
And there's story after story after story. And it doesn't diminish what men have done in the military at all. It's just expanding that out a little bit. Just a lot of military women feel they're not really recognized as much, and they just want a little bit of recognition. And for some crazy reason, this stupid little piece of plastic makes them feel like they're a little bit more a part of the world.
Do you make those out of the copying machines? How do you do that?
This particular one, this is actually a resin casting. A sculptor made
That
an
is-
original,
okay.
and then he made a rubber mold, and then he cast this in resin. And they can only make a few of them, and these will be sent to have a plastic injection tool made, which will then go to the factory and be made in hopefully large quantities.
Mass quantities.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the
Commissioner
opportunity.
Terry?
It's funny how the little niche markets can grow unbelievably quickly. It's a great story, and good luck with your business, and seems like there's a lot of room to grow there. And
It is like you said, it's a niche market, which I like,
Yeah.
because then, you know, big companies don't really have a reason to run me out of business. So
great idea, though. Thank you.
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And we saw it on the news, and Commissioner Cummings is big on bringing local business in, and especially the idea that this was bringing something forward that, you know, I mean, as long as there's been war, whether they were signed up or not, women were involved.
That's
And
very true.
They've always been there, whether they were helping someone or picking up a musket and doing what they had to do. You know what I mean? Like I said, if they weren't even assigned to a unit or part of something, they were always involved. I mean, Gettysburg itself, like amazing stories of women at Gettysburg. But to actually have these in these small characters so that young girls, if they're playing with these toys, will actually have a version that's a female. I think it really matters. It's what makes our country great. Commissioner Cummings?
So today, we have a certificate of recognition. The County of Lackawanna Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize BMC Toys in honor of achieving the designation of a small business spotlighted in Lackawanna County, given this 23rd day of October 2019 by Commissioner Patrick O'Malley, Commissioner Jerry Natariani, and myself, Commissioner Cummings. Come on up, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Great
very much. I
idea.
appreciate
Thank
you having me
you.
here today. Thank you very much. Yes, correct.
Where's the little girl from?
Julia Mull's my sister. That's how you
I'm just reading it. Oh, yeah. Can you see it?
Okay, we have to.
Step this way, everybody step one, step that way. Perfect.
Perfect.
All right, everybody look here at me. Take a couple. All right, stay right there.
Is that your wife up there?
It's my sister.
Your sister?
She's a smart one.
There you go.
Is she in the business?
Thank you.
Do you want to come up and get a picture? Come on up and get a picture.
Come on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, we got a camera.
Can somebody
You
take
actually
a-
got the button on.
Sure.
Up.
She helps me a tremendous amount, but she's actually a small business.
Oh, no.
No, you
Give
get in
the
the
phone to
picture.
Ricky. He'll take one of yours and he'll take one of ours.
Yeah, no, come up here.
No, yeah, you
Give the
should.
phone to
You're
friend.
the vice president in charge of media.
Come on.
Come on, Vice President. Congratulations.
I think I just got promoted.
I'll give you the pay raise there, right?
And if everybody look at me, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 more, 1, 2, 3. Perfecto.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
That's great. Congratulations.
Excuse me? I don't recognize the name, I'm sorry.
Do I get to keep it or no?
Unfortunately.
The one he has.
When you get a prototype, can you please get one of the office for
When we have production, you'll definitely have more than you can handle. Okay.
Congratulations. It was a great story, and the little girl was amazing.
It was on the news, huh, Pat?
It was like all over the place. It was like, yeah.
Watch the news.
It was in the paper. It was like, it was I think it was on national news. Really cool.
Definitely don't watch the national.
Okay, 19-0271, the Fair Board.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The Fair Board requested time on today's agenda. first of all, to once again thank each of you individually for your enduring support and encouragement to both the board and to the Fair and Recreation Authority, and your support of the first annual county fair this past May. But we also wanted to take this opportunity to offer special recognition to Commissioner O'Malley, whose vision it was that set the study into motion to, first of all, determine whether or not a fair would be economically feasible, and then secondly, to get the mechanics of the fair in motion, get the fair board appointed, get a Fair and Recreation Authority appointed, get the whole thing up and running, and make sure that everything worked in an integrated fashion. And this was a unanimous decision by the Fair Board. We thought that it was important to recognize the guy who started it all in motion. So we have a plaque to present to you today, Commissioner O'Malley, that states that in recognition of his vision for and support of the Lackawanna County Heritage Fair, the Lackawanna County Fair and Recreation Authority and Fair Board awards you this special recognition plaque, recognizing that you were the person who set it all in motion.
When this all started, it was just a thought. I actually talked to my solicitor about it, and we talked about things where we used to try to think of things outside the box, things that were lacking in Lackawanna County, things that could be another attraction, another quality of life opportunity. And that's where the fair started. We thought Wyoming, Wayne, Luzerne, Susquehanna, everybody else had a fair. We didn't have one. But it's one thing to come up with the idea. It's another thing to make the idea a reality. So I'd like to personally thank the board and the authority for what they did over the last 3 years, because if it wasn't for the volunteers that are here today, we wouldn't have a fair that's going to be in May of 2020. So I'd like to thank all of you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Well, do we get to say any words?
Sure. Sure.
Well, I just think that, I remember when you talked about the fair, I think it was a great idea. I do commend you on that, and it was completely all your idea. I remember when you sat as the minority, you were talking about it. So, congratulations on the work, and I think it turned out really, really well in spite of the weather. And I think had the weather not been the way it was, it would have been even more fantastic. But you all did a great job, and I was very proud of all the work that you all did, so thank you for that. And thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that to our area, and hopefully it will continue on for years and years to come. So thank you again, and I do appreciate all your work, and I appreciate you taking the time out to recognize Commissioner for his efforts and his ideas. It's well rewarded. He deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner O'Tarity?
I'd just like to thank the board and the authority for all their hard work and for pulling it off, doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to say that of events that go on in the community, this or any fair in the Commonwealth, for $10, you get into the water park, you get the entertainment, and you get to go on all the rides. Where do you have that option? And I know this year they're going to be reaching out to a lot of school districts because we have all that time during the week and the kids are still in school. This will be such a great opportunity for local districts to be able to take their kids out to the fair during the day. And people understand the big expense with a school district is if you have to use a coach, that's a bus with a bathroom. If you're within your district's county line, you can use a regular bus. So that's something I think that's going to be a great opportunity for this coming year for what they'll be doing on those days during the week, because usually it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Right.
It's a 5-day event. So, but congratulations. I think it's going to be a great 2020.
Thank you so much.
Come on forward.
Congratulations. Hey, how are you?
Thanks.
Oh, no, thank you.
How you guys, boss?
Hey.
How are you?
I thought you were here because of the congratulations. Get back in. We
We'll balance it out on this side a little bit. I'll make you look good.
Nice to survive the marathon. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, you gotta.
I gotta switch.
Rick, sharpen that camera.
Good right here. Everybody look at me and smile. Take a couple. One more. Good, very good. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Oh, you're welcome. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the Fair of 2020 is just a great opportunity for you just to go out and have a really good time with your family, and it's very inexpensive, and it's a great opportunity to invest in the community and just enjoy yourself. So please make sure you make it up to Montage Mountain in May of 2020 for the fair, the Heritage Fair. What I like best about our commissioners' meetings is right at the beginning we always talk about all the great things that are going on in Lackawanna County. And also bring in people who really care about the community and care about law enforcement and care about law enforcement officers that have died. At this time, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine that I've been working with on different things through the years, and that is Don Williams. Don, would you come up to the microphone? I'd also like our staff from the jail. Who do we have here? Major Oleski, Major McGraw, anyone else? Come up with Mr. Williams. Eric Williams was a corrections officer who died years ago, tragically, and it just shouldn't have happened. And the individual who perpetrated this crime only got life in prison, and he should have got beyond that. But with that being said, as a parent, Don and his wife Jean could have just went off into a corner and just withered away. They didn't. They brought their son, Eric's name, forward because they didn't like it, the idea that corrections officers were beaten, abused, murdered, and they really are unsung heroes. No one knows what goes on behind the walls, behind the gates, the hard work that they have dealing with MRSA and AIDS and HIV and prisoners that have mental conditions, drug addiction, people just trying to escape from the prison. There's just so many things, suicides. The job is so intense. It's the type of job that you got to love it to do it. And I know that Don's son, Eric, loved his job. And he died doing it. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Don Williams.
Thank you. I apologize if my voice fluctuates. I'm just getting over walking pneumonia, so apologize. I'll do the best I can. Yeah, my son was murdered in Canaan Penitentiary in 2013 by an inmate that was an assassin for the Mexican Mafia, and he was already doing life for murder. And they finally got around to having a trial after some years in 2017 in July, and it was a capital case, which resulted in a decision that the person who was doing life for murder got life again for murdering my son and mutilating him, which amounted to our family to being nothing. We feel that was a very poor decision because it was, number one, it was the wrong message to send to him. And it was also the wrong message to send throughout the whole prison system throughout the United States, because what it did was two things. It made a hero out of him to his peers for murdering a law enforcement officer. That's not what I call justice. And number two, it also painted a target on the back of all the corrections officers throughout our whole country that if you're doing life and you murder one of these officers, likely nothing's going to happen to you. Very dangerous thing. How that decision got made is the issue here. It got made by a jury where one juror went against the wishes of 11 others because she felt sorry for his mother and disregarded the evidence, the testimony, the film they saw, everything else. And so one juror is empowered to disregard and derail the decision of 11 others. That's against a jury system. That just goes against the grain of why we empower and impanel a jury. So one individual does not have this power. This is a flaw in our system. Right after that happened, I was contacted by Bruce DeSaro, who's the assistant district attorney who tried the Eric Freen case. And through him, we got some legislation started. And a number of legislators jumped on this, and they've now come out with a thing called Eric's Law. And it's S-2264. And Eric's Law has been introduced to both the Senate and the House. And what it does is it basically says that if you require 12 people on a jury to sentence somebody to death, which we clearly understand why that is, then it also requires that the jury's not deadlocked with one person to make it a life sentence, that you also have to have either a majority or a full 12 jurors for life. And if that doesn't happen, then they can retry the sentencing phase of the case again because of a deadlocked jury. So all it does is really, it's not some radical change to anything in the Constitution. It's very simply to take out that flaw that empowers one individual. I worked very hard with our district attorney, or the federal prosecutors rather, and they have to make a case to 12 people. The defense had to make a case to one person. That's out of balance. And this law would correct that. But I want to say this. I clearly understand that death penalty is something that is difficult, for people to deal with, that there's a lot of controversy over it and so forth. My hope here, to be honest, is to go beyond a death penalty situation. I can tell you, commissioners, that as a victim of crime, of this hideous crime, I got into that federal judicial system, and I felt like that system was greatly lent itself to the rights and the concerns of the person who murdered my son, with very, very little concern over the rights of our family. And I'm hoping, more so than this law goes into effect, simply to have a retrial of a deadlocked jury, that it starts a dialogue among our legislators about the rights of victims. That when we come into a courtroom, that we have some rights also, and that we don't have to sit in a courtroom and watch the person who murdered our child have all sorts of attention paid to their rights and their needs and everything else, while ours are kicked to the curb. I could go on and articulate all day some things that happened through that whole process of how we were given a gag order not to dare share certain emotions or do anything that could cause a mistrial. It was almost pointless to go up there and give a victim statement because of the restrictions placed on you. I felt like I was the one who committed a crime just being in there. That's got to change. And that's what I'm really hoping happens, is this kind of dialogue to where we rethink our entire judicial system and who it's for. And that's about what I have to say.
I'd like to also say that Mr. Williams has brought OC spray into a lot of prisons that a lot of corrections officers, and people understand this, that most of the time when you're in a prison, the most you carry with you is a pair of handcuffs. And from Mr. Williams's and his wife's diligence, they've brought OC spray to most of our state facilities. Our county prison has it now because it gives us, it's not a weapon, it's just a way to like fend off someone if you have a situation where you're alone, or, you know what I mean? You have to be able to get out or get away at that point. And the OC spray is very, very helpful at stopping a perpetrator from hurting a corrections officer. I would just like one or both of our major or captain to say a few words about what it's like, and the fact that when you work in a prison and an inmate gets over on something like that, how they become like a hero. Oh, they got to punch the guard in the face, or the corrections officer. It's scary. Major, captain, whichever.
What was that?
I don't know. Chair?
There's sometimes down there it gets, this morning, just before we come down, we have some inmates from the federal penitentiary in Canaan, and they refused to move to one block. And they said, we're all going to stick together, none of us are going to move. And Major McGraw and myself went in, and we talked to them with an officer and got it all calmed down, and they moved, everything was all right. But we also had a sergeant and 2 officers with the pepper ball guns and a couple cell busters. But I mean, that's how quick it could either go off or be solved. That's every day.
And your job is to try to de-escalate, but things, sometimes you have to be prepared for the worst.
Well, if you can de-escalate, it's the way to go.
Yeah. Be prepared in case something goes the wrong way. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Cummings, or do you want to read it first? Will you read it? Read it
I'm
first.
just reading it, so.
Okay.
I'm sorry for your loss, first of all. I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the work that our law enforcement does. Thank you for coming in.
Commissioner Terriani?
I think it's our responsibility to try to protect the rights of the victims and their families and the corrections officers, so that things like this can't happen or happen less, and just do whatever we can conceivably do to help that. I think it's important that we at least try to do something. Thank you.
Sir.
Sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Can you explain to me exactly what you're looking for in this law? I'm a little bit perplexed by it. Are you looking for a different way to do the jury, or?
No, it's not about the voir dire system of pick and jury. What it is if the jury, in voting on a sentencing, like the judge made it very clear that it only takes one individual
Right.
to say nay to a death penalty, and it's an automatic life sentence. What they're saying is that that's unfair, that one person has that power. That to vote for life, you have to have at least a majority on the jury.
All decisions are made at unanimous. That's because we're a republic. We're by law, not by.
Right.
Yeah.
It's to protect people from emotion.
Right. But,
Because the
but
law is emotionless. You know, it's.
correct.
The laws of justice are blind.
But
so
in this case, that's not
I
true. It only
understand.
takes one.
I understand.
And
In every case, it takes one.
this is taken off of a law. Actually, it's enacted in California, and is working well. To where they have retried cases because, like, maybe 2 people will vote for life, and they have to have at least a majority to vote for life or the death penalty. So
it's just for the death penalty you're
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for change, not for regular courtroom,
no.
because that would change our whole entire
Yeah.
United States. That's what
Yeah,
we're
and
based
it
on.
doesn't work that way for a lot of cases anyway. I'm not a lawyer, but the bottom line is it's strictly death penalty, capital cases, yeah.
Because we're
Mhm.
based on law, republic,
Yeah.
not a democracy of,
Right.
mob
I mean, the
rule.
Constitution addressed capital punishment coming right off of the Federalist Papers that, we wanted to make sure that if somebody was sentenced to death that it was not the easiest thing to do.
Right. Well,
And
for
it's
nothing should
understandable.
be easy to do to convict
But-
somebody of a crime that they didn't commit.
Right. And that's all fair.
Yeah.
But to allow one juror the power to throw the other 11 is definitely against the whole idea of majority and the whole idea of a jury. So they're trying to take it back to, yeah, if you're going to have life, it has to be majority as well.
Well, it would be a unanimous decision.
Yes.
It's not just one. It's
Correct.
the concept by the forefathers was that it has to be unanimous.
Right.
Because people have the ability to change the minds of a few to change the law, and they didn't want that. They wanted it a unanimous decision so that you couldn't just send someone for the death penalty. That's the way I see it anyway, and unanimous either way, so that you can't
Correct.
just,
Correct.
because you're holding somebody's life in your hands, so it has to be unanimous. And I agree with unanimous.
Right.
That's what a republic is. That's
Right.
that's what it's based on. Democracy is more emotional based, and I mean, that's the way it is. But I don't know. Did we just stamp these today? This is another one.
Commissioner O'Malley, Dorothy asked me to bring some print. I didn't know whether you wanted these or what.
Okay, just hold it for a second. I'd just like to say that at 12 years old, I sat in a courtroom, and the person who murdered my sister was sitting basically 6 feet away from me. And he got sentenced to life in prison, which he's still in prison at this point. And I know that my mom was relieved. You know what I mean? And, would she have liked the death penalty? Yes, I think she would have. But he was sentenced to life in prison, so that got him off the streets forever. Your situation, so different. I went over to the federal courthouse, I think at least 3 days out of the weeks they were there, or 4 or 5 days, and I got to see a lot of things that no parent should ever have to see, especially Don and his wife. And this person was already doing life in prison. This wasn't just a regular inmate. This was a hardcore, evil person. And killing his son was just going to got him another life sentence. And I just thought it was just total crap. So I just wanted to bring in Mr. Williams because I know that for the corrections officers, that when you work with these people, because county level is people coming right off the street and they haven't been sentenced, so there's sunlight for even the person that might have murdered someone. They still might think they might get out. But once they get to state and federal and all this stuff, these guys are doing double life, triple life, crazy numbers. Now, there's really no way to get at them to make them be worse than where they are already. They're already doing life in prison. This individual, if he was put on death row, his life would have changed immensely, and he would have the fear of dying like his son did the day that he died. And I felt really horrible that that's had to happen, and it shouldn't have happened. But what happens inside of a prison is when you have these people that are doing double and triple life, the inmates talk among themselves like this individual who killed this CO is a hero. They're not heroes. And what happened wasn't justice. And I hope that for the future, and when this law is enacted, there will be justice for corrections officers and law enforcement when this type of situation arises.
Doesn't that already exist where they get life anyway?
Yeah, but he was getting life, but they were looking for the death penalty because he already had life. You're giving life on type of life.
Could they have taken that to another higher court, or was that it?
That was the end.
Yeah.
Or the Supreme
See, that's
Court?
one of the other things. Like, if he got a death penalty, he has all kinds of endless appeals. When this sentence went down for us, that's it. You know, and we went back to the federal prosecutors and say, is there any recourse because this individual said she just felt bad? That's not a reason, you know. That they said, no, there's nothing you can do. You know, so that's it for the family. You know, we have no recourse, nothing. You know, too bad.
I'm very sorry for your loss. Your son was a great man. He's still a great man. I'd like to thank you for all the hard work and effort that you've put into this law and for helping the corrections officer, the OC spray, and everything else.
You're
It really
welcome.
matters.
Thank you.
Fran, would you like to read the...
Yes, we have a letter of support here, Commissioner, dated October 23rd, 2019. Dear United States Legislator, we are working to urge you and your colleagues to pass Senate Bill S-2264 and the House Bill H.R. 3980, which would amend the Title 18 United States Code to require the impaneling of a new jury if a jury fails to recommend a unanimous vote on a sentence for conviction of a crime punishable by death. In February 2013, Eric Williams, a 34-year-old corrections officer at United States Penitentiary Canaan in Pennsylvania, was stabbed and killed by an inmate. The inmate was already serving a life sentence when he murdered Williams. Although the jury unanimously found the inmate guilty, he was spared the death penalty because one juror voted against it, essentially allowing the inmate to get away with murder. Eric's Law, which both Senate Bill S-2264 and the House Hill H.R. 3980 are now referred to as may prevent this from happening again. Named after Eric Williams, Eric's Law would allow a new jury to be impaneled if a first jury does not reach a unanimous decision on a defendant's sentence or punishment. If that jury in turn does not reach a unanimous sentence either, then the court, presumably a judge, will issue a sentence, but at that point the death penalty will no longer be permitted. Basically, this law will deter inmates who currently feel like they can get away with committing a crime while incarcerated. Eric's Law will help protect many of the Lackawanna County residents who work as corrections officers at USP Canaan, the Lackawanna County Prison, and other federal prisons in the United States penitentiary system. We urge you to pass Senate Bill S-2264 and House Bill H.R. 3980 or any similar language that may be proposed by the United States Congress that would prevent such a miscarriage of justice from happening again. If you have any questions or if you would like to be more detailed on the information on the importance of this measure to the residents of Lackawanna County, please feel free to call or email us. Thank you for your consideration. Commissioner Patrick M. O'Malley, Commissioner Jerry Notarianni, and Commissioner Laureen A. Cummings.
Okay, you want to do roll call?
Commissioner Notarianni.
Do a roll call on that, on a stamp it? Don't do a roll call on that.
Okay. Yeah, it's already been signed,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
it's signed, so I'll be set now.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioners.
Don, thank you so much for what you've done. Like I said, that, the OC spray plus this and everything else, but, I mean, like I said, when they're walking down a corridor and they have the OC spray with them, you know that you have an opportunity to be able to get yourself out of danger if need be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for the OC spray. It really matters.
Did not ask me about that.
I have no idea. Okay, Wayne Evans from the Trolley Museum.
Wayne Hiller, sir.
Wayne Hiller. Oh, I'm sorry. Gee, to get the.
I know, too.
Oh, no.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Talk about the anniversary and all the great things going on down the trolley, especially from October till Christmas and in between.
Okay, I'm here today to announce the Electric City Trolley Museum is celebrating its 20th year anniversary. The museum opened in October 30th, 1999, and I'd like to give you the history of the trolley excursions. The trolley excursion began in April of 2000. The trolley traveled to the Brady Yard at the Roaring Brook Bridge. It was one of the 3 track extensions. Phase 2 was completed in 2002, in which the trolley line extended through the 4,747-foot-long Laureline Tunnel to the Stafford Avenue in South Scranton. Phase 3 was completed in 2004, which the trolley line traveled to the Visitor Center. And in 2006, the restoration shop was built next to the PNC baseball field where the trolley operates today. To celebrate our 20th year anniversary, the museum is offering on every Saturday in October, the 20th rider on each trolley excursion will have a free ride and museum admission. They will also receive a gift certificate for 1 free ride and admission in 2020 with a 20% discount on all purchases. Today, we offer over 17 family events throughout the year for families to come and enjoy the Trolley Museum.
I have to say that I've been on numerous tours. My kids grew up going on the trolley. The Trolley Museum is so much more. They have birthday parties, they have events. It can be written out for anything. I'm sure you can have a wedding down there if you want it. It's really great, isn't it?
One of our most popular event is Santa on the Trolley, which will run every weekend leading up to Christmas in December.
Anyone in the viewing audience, please, if you have an opportunity, you get to take your kids out, and there's the big tunnel, which is about a mile long.
1,747 feet
It
long.
is the coolest thing, and they have a lot of Santa Claus stuff up lights inside the tunnel, and it really is. Like, I have pictures from my kids when they were, 8 and 2, all the way up. Like, it's amazing. And the Santa's always got a good Santa. So, Commissioner Cummings?
You're doing a great job over there.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're one of many that runs their department well. So thank you for all your hard work and for especially helping me on the retail pricing of your sales items. I appreciate that. And with your budget. And, people don't know. You cut your budget by, can you tell?
Well, I cut the budget every line item at least 5 to 15%.
Yes, thank you very much. You are looking out for our taxpayers. You are sincerely looking out for our taxpayers, and you're doing a great job over there. And you're actually bringing in revenue and trying to increase revenue.
Yes.
While cutting your budget. So you are, I can't say enough about how proud I am of the work that you've been doing. And, I asked you to do a few things, and you did it. And you found a way to make everything happen that's good for the taxpayer and for our county. And you're providing a service that's good for all the kids and, parties and safe events. And you go above and beyond your job duties. And so do all of your staff. So please extend this accolades to all of your staff as well, because you're doing a tremendous job there. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your work.
Commissioner. Deeply appreciate it.
Commissioner Terriani?
I was around to watch that grow from a dream to a very successful operation, Wayne, and you've done a great job for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just like to thank you for all the quality of life moments, because it really matters. These are the pictures that people take down at the Trolley Museum and on the trolley that'll be shown at weddings, brought up out of an album, and maybe part of a video. So it's really
Thank
great.
you, Commissioner.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Great job.
Thank you.
We'll be down for Christmas. Opportunity for the public to address the board.
Joan Hodewanitz, 101 Penn Avenue, Scranton. I don't know who's going to be sitting up there as commissioners come January, but I do hope that the next Board of Commissioners has enough sense to continue the small business spotlight. I think that is the best thing since sliced bread. And not just because that gentleman, was making toy replicas of women in the military, which is a nice thing to see. But, there's a innovative businessman, entrepreneur, and he's doing well, and his success should be celebrated, and it should be an incentive for people to follow him. So I hope that continues. It was one of the best legacies you'll ever have, Lorraine.
Thank you, Joan. I greatly
Starting that.
appreciate that.
I
Thank
mean
you.
it. Okay, Gary, how are we doing on our legal fees?
Well, there is another check involved in today's payable list.
Say it's not so.
Well, there is.
And what's its amount?
15,000 and
Okay.
some
Well-
odd dollars. I'll have the exact number when it comes up.
Okay,
for
we
a vote.
continue to dribble out. Do we have any totals for the salaries that are involved with this prison investigation, since that had another impact? Or we aren't really watching that?
Not that I'm familiar with.
Okay, perhaps for another day. And with regard to the budget, Commissioner Cummings and I rode up on the elevator together, and she asked me, is there anything on the budget? I said a few things. Last year, I remember I did a spreadsheet, and one of the things I talked about was looking at the various departments, their salary and wage totals, and then looking at what was computed for FICA, the Federal Insurance Contribution Act, which should be pretty easy to do. It's 0.0765% of your salary and wage totals. And last year, I commented that in many cases, it didn't compute, which surprised me because this should be generated by a computer program. It sees that line and it, just like an Excel spreadsheet, it has a formula in it, and there comes your FICA, right? Well, I looked at the 2020 totals and the FICAs, and again, the same issue. So I don't know why that happens. We're not talking about $1 million variance, of course, but I was just curious as to why that occurred after, it got highlighted last year. It's still happening. I looked at the 2019 column, and a lot of those had been corrected, but 2020s many of them were off. So you might want to look at that. On page 4, for revenues, the Register of Wills, there was a 40% decrease in revenues from fees and records management. It went from $1,649,058 down to a projected $994,235. And I was curious as to the reason why. I mean, can't be because fewer people are dropping dead. So why would there be such a 40% projected decrease in revenue?
I think I know the answer, but she can answer better than I can. Yeah.
Okay. On page 9, again for revenues, Parks and Recreations, their total. They had a 57% decrease from $68,070 to $29,500, and their revenue is largely donations and fees, and I wasn't quite sure, what generated that kind of change. Page 20, for expenses, the County Government Center. I wasn't too surprised to see this, that for utilities and then for the government center totals, the numbers are significantly, there's a significant variance, and that's got to be expected because you've only been here 1 year. And so I'm sure there's a lot of, ups and downs. One thing I didn't see under the government center was, I saw the utilities, electric, gas, waste, and water, but no telephone. Are your telephones free in this building? You must have a lot of them.
Must be under our maintenance.
There are telephones in other departments.
Might have been under maintenance. I don't know why.
Okay.
Sometimes there's bills that go
Yeah,
under
well, in some departments, the breakout telephones, and that should be a significant,
Or materials and supplies.
a significant difference. Now, materials and supplies went from $10,000 to $150,000. That's a 1,400% increase. But anyway, I was just curious, if you're going to break it out in some departments as telephone, then it would be nice to see telephones broken out everywhere, because you certainly would have a significant telephone bill in this building, which
it came down, so I know it came down from what we were spending.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm just a taxpayer's comment, if you
appreciate that,
can,
thank
in the future, maybe give it a separate line item. I mean, if it's a small department and you're looking at, like less than $1,000, that's one thing. But in this building, it's probably 6 figures.
I'm thinking it might be in IT too, because we got all of our stuff in IT.
It is under IT, Commissioner.
Yeah, that's what I
IT.
thought.
Under IT?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine, as long as, you know where it went. On page 62, DA Central Booking, I noticed that salary and wage totals increased 227% from $168,006 to $549,401. Is that because of the setting up that new prison annex on Wyoming Avenue and hiring more people, or what generated that?
Don't ask me, we don't have anything to do with their salary.
Or somebody got a big pay raise.
Well, there you go. Well, we're having a salary board meeting after
I know
this.
you are.
Nobody shows up to those, but they are on video now. We
Okay.
put them on video.
However, on the other side of the coin, under DA Central Booking on page 62, you note that the program expense, whatever that is, went from $285,000 down to zero. So there may be something going on between those two line items.
Probably rent.
Say again?
Probably rent, right?
I don't know. Program expense? Say again?
No? Oh, central booking, sorry.
Central booking, you know. I mean, it's currently in the courthouse, but eventually you're going to move it down to that Wyoming Avenue facility.
They're good questions. I'll look them up.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, these are just things that my eye caught. Page 74, something called outreach, and I guess this, it says contract service totals. Went from $9,005 to $113,820, which is a 1,164% increase. And that would have been nice to footnote.
What line item are you looking at, John?
Page 74,
Right.
outreach, the contract service totals.
What number are you at? 15.
It'll say $9,005 for 2019 budget. Then the estimated 2019 budget was
Got it.
$186,640, and then it went to 113. I mean, without any footnoting or knowing what that means, that's a significant jump. The next page, page 75, environmental modification, whatever that means. Contract service totals went from $560 to $21,075. That's a 3,663% increase. Again, there's no explanation for what that is. You see that?
Yep.
Page 76, the Area Agency on Aging. This is what I was mentioning to you in the elevator. Under the fund totals, expenses exceed revenues. You'll see in 2019 it was $147,194 in the hole. And it's projected for 2020 to be $49,265 in the hole. Now, this is the only item I noted in the budget which shows expenses exceeding revenues. Now, you mentioned to me there are probably other departments, but this
Yeah, I
is
would
the only
assume.
one that I saw in the budget, so you might want to take a look at that, why that is so outstanding. Maybe it's just not properly funded, I don't know.
Well, Human Services is here, so. Would you know?
Part of the issue with the budget, and I'll double check on this, is some of the funds are discretionary by the state. We always receive them every year, but we can't report that as actual revenue, so that's why we show a shortfall.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like I said, you might want to consider in some of these which are blatantly gonna, attract someone's eyes. Maybe you want a footnoting system.
Well, see, that's the problem, Joan. This budget, you're looking at it, right? And it's this thick. This is just a short version of the actual budget. If we were to print out every department,
Yeah.
I mean, I have 3 binders filled. That's how much paper there would be with it. This is just kind of an overview. So you don't have every line item
But I
there.
mean, just for your own purposes.
But yeah,
when
so
you
I can go
present
back
it
and
to the
see where that line
public,
item is that
and
you're
you see
questioning.
some of these, numbers are really out of whack, then just be prepared to, why would that be?
Right, it seems that way, but then when you go and you see the budget line by line, you'll see that it makes sense once you look at it line by line. So I thank you for looking at it and bringing that up. I will look at those.
Yeah. Also, the only other comment I have is, I was looking at the budget messages which are on the website, and I really do have to concur with Commissioner Natariani on the issue of pension funding. I understand, that many governments have made a lot of money in recent years off of the stock market, and that's great. But this is analogous, as far as I'm concerned, this is analogous to what happened with City Hall. In 1888, they built a beautiful building, state of the art. You couldn't replicate that building today if you tried. But over the years, previous administrations have paid no attention to a long-term maintenance plan. And as a homeowner, your roof only has so many years, your sidewalks only have so many years, your siding, your furnace, your appliances, and you have to, keep in mind that eventually you're going to be making major expenditures to keep up your home. Well, the same thing is roughly true with things like a pension. And, it was well described last night, the difference between defined benefit and defined contribution plans. But you have a defined benefit plan for your retirees. And
Tried to change that.
I
couldn't.
Commissioner Terriani, what is the funding ratio right now? Is it 85% or?
It's not 85%.
Do you know what it is?
I don't know off the top of my head, CFO.
Tom is here.
As of 1/1/2019, the funded ratio was 70.8%.
Okay. That would make it moderately distressed. Okay.
Joan, your comments on the agenda item only, the ordinance first reading of the budget message
Yeah.
was not on the agenda yesterday,
Okay.
okay? The CFO and the budget director both suggested it be waited till, for the next meeting, 2 weeks from now. And again, it was not on the agenda yesterday, it is on the agenda today.
Right.
So you have the right to comment, of course, but I think it probably, with some of your questions would have been answered possibly a little bit better if we
Yeah.
had.
Well,
had
I'll
done
be
it.
here 2 weeks from today anyway.
Yeah.
So
There you
I'm
go, Joan.
coming back.
Thank you.
But with regard to the pension fund, you really, you got to know that the stock market goes up and the stock market comes down, and there could be another recession. Nobody really knows what the future holds, and the pension could take a major hit. So, you don't want to kick the funding can down the road, okay? You may have a budget crisis, and then you really can't fund the pension the way you want to. I just think that, you want to get that pension as healthy as possible and keep it there, okay? Because you're committed to paying those retirees, and you've got to take care of them. And look what happened in the city of Scranton, and they allowed theirs to go down to drastically low amounts, drastically. And much of that happened in 2008 when the recession hit. So, but those are my comments. Take them for what they're worth. Sometimes you just have to choose the harder right.
Thanks,
Thank
Joan.
you.
Okay. Okay, anyone else?
Are we going to answer our questions later? Or?
You can answer some now if you want. Fran, do you want to answer that one question she had about your department? We'll answer them now, because
Yeah,
things will
go
get, it gets.
We are a profitable office. I don't know, where did she go? Oh, there she is. We are a profitable office. Right now, I'm waiting on approximately $14,000 from the state that we haven't gotten in from August, which is unusual. I've been working, they've had some issues with a new program that they set up, and across the state, many of the registers have not gotten their commissions for things that are owed us. Which office are you? Register wills. Oh, okay. So we are a profitable office. We are down some years. We are up as far as the profitability, but we are never.
I just thought that the change in revenues was significant.
Right. Well, like I said, it varies depending upon the amount of states that come in. Our biggest volume or our highest numbers as far as collecting fees usually starts approximately now until December the 31st.
But I was looking at the estimate, the final 2019 budget and the tentative 2020.
Yeah, it's down, there's no doubt about it, but again, that depends upon what comes through the door. And I have nothing I can do about that.
Did you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I think we hired more staff in your office too, right? Didn't we get another appointment hired?
The new staff member that I'm requesting is on the orphans court side. The office is two.
No, last year, I'm sorry. Last year you hired somebody new.
Last year, and that's all goes back to the administrative offices of the Pennsylvania courts, better known as the AOPC, and the mandates that are coming down from the states that are not funded.
But we didn't have to accept that. I was against that position. So she did hire that position, and that did bring her revenue down.
Yeah,
We accepted their program through the state. That's what we did. And that program is not funded by the state.
The state, the mandates are not funded, and the workload is unbelievable. And it's really, the workload has to do with the elderly and the incapacitated individuals. And in order to protect the incapacitated, you have to review all these mandated filings, and it's a voluminous amount of work.
Thank you. Not from that office. Parks and Rec, I don't know why they'd be.
Commissioners, I'm sorry to take up some time, but I'll be brief. If Joan would like, she can schedule a meeting at any time that's convenient for her, because I know you have a lot of questions. And Mary Jo, the budget director, Mary Jo Granahan, and myself will be happy to sit down with you and go line item by line item with all your questions. So just let me know what works for you, and we'll make time. Okay?
I like doing it right now. I like answering right now. I like the public to know what the answers are, because she had some good questions.
Well, Commissioner,
I know you don't have them right in front of you, and I know our budget isn't complete, and there's changes to be made still. I understand that.
But we need to have our work papers in front of us too when we're doing this.
I have
Off
all
the
my
top of my
budgets
head, I
here.
can't answer to every line item in the budget.
I think I've got
all
five
but two or
stacks.
three.
I've got 5 stacks of papers here in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if anybody has a question. So that's all I have to say about that. Now, Parks and Rec, I don't know why they, if you have any idea why Parks and Rec was, I don't know, 59% difference?
Tom, anything on Parks and Rec?
He doesn't have his papers, he doesn't know.
Parks and Rec, you'd rather not answer that question right now because you don't have the work notes.
I mean, I may be able to answer the question. What's the question? I'm sorry,
You said it was
Commissioner.
down by 59%, right? In revenue or something? 57%?
Revenue is down 57% in Parks and Rec. Again, off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for that. We need.
That's specific, but all right, I can look that up too. I'm sorry, that is quite
No, that's okay.
specific.
Thank you.
Okay. Resolution.
Now, hang on the pension fund. Our pension fund, I would love to comment on the pension fund. We've had how many votes for raises? We have a salary board right after this. If you want to know what's the cost of the county is, it's our salaries, okay? So if you're going to vote for potential increases in salaries, then you're either going to have to do something to increase your revenue or raise taxes. And if you want a pension fund met, then you're going to have to watch what you're voting in regards to raises, especially those that we can control, that we actually have to vote on and can change. So I believe that's part of our issues for the next budget and for the following year, and the following year after that, it's going to be even worse from what I can see on the numbers projected. So, when people ask, do you want a raise? Well, then you have to ask yourself, do you also want to counteract that raise by increasing the taxes you pay on your house? Because that's what's going to happen. It's just the way it is. We only have so much money that we collect. Right now, we're at 91%, which is an estimate. We can actually collect 95% next year. We don't know. All this is a big guessing game for the whole entire year. And, you don't know what's going to happen or what we're going to bring in or what we're not going to bring in. When we first came in, the first year we had this great budget to work with. We thought we had a great budget. And then all of a sudden, we got slammed with the $10 million cost for health insurance and pharmaceuticals. So, we had to make cuts all over the place. And we worked really hard on it. You don't know what's going to come down the pike, but that's why you always should be looking at ways to cut your costs That's what I do in a business, is you look at ways to cut your costs because you don't know what your revenue is going to be. We kind of have a set in stone revenue because we're looking at a percentage that we're collecting in taxes, and we know that. We kind of know that for the following year. It should be going up with all the new homes that were, I mean, the recorder of deeds asked for another staff member because they were busy. And, you know, I go down to Evie's and she has everything right there, whatever you need. She's got it right at the, like, she gives it right to you. And, you know, we should be seeing now as taxes increasing through our county with home ownership and new builds and new businesses coming in the area. And that's kind of where I think we all stand as business people, that if you increase the tax base, you won't have to raise the taxes. So that's why we try and bring businesses in and new home ownership into the area so that we can fund what we currently have and look at potential increases for whoever's getting raises. But that is all things like this county is huge. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just black and white as you see going through the budget. So you have to look at every single department, every area that you're spending money. A lot of the departments pay for themselves through grants. They're not even a part of it. What is our budget? 84 million. The rest of it is all grants and funding that comes from the state and federal government. Our biggest expenditure is our prison costs. I mean, they're a third of what we if not more of what we're expending out there. And staffing, you know, staffing our departments. And, you know, we have, when you get a $10 million hit like that, that's why we couldn't do that pension fund that year. And we've invested in it since, but if you want to make a pension fund allocation, then you can't vote for raises. You just can't do it. You can't vote for increases in salaries, and you can't agree to sign off on contracts that are increasing salaries if you want to include investment in pensions, unless you plan on raising taxes. And that's just the way it is. I mean, listen, we have a surplus. Well, we can just put the whole surplus on the pension if we want, I guess. You know, we can make changes to this budget, right? We could still vote on that. So, Commissioner Terriani, if you want to spend our surplus on the pensions, submit it. You know, I mean, we all have the opportunity to make changes here. We just have to decide on where we're going to spend and allocate the money. We have 2 more weeks until we vote on the final budget, so it's not done yet. You know, this is where we have the opportunity to talk about it. And this is the conversations I think we should have when about the taxpayers' dollars. This is why we're here, to spend the taxpayers' dollars in the appropriate manner. You know, I hear about, you know, hiring policies and all this. Well, I'll talk about that later. But as far as the pension fund goes, we tried. I mean, that was the first thing, I guess, my predecessor, Jim Wanzak, tried the same thing I had asked when I came in. Why can't we just have a 401k based rather than what we have now? Couldn't do it. Can't change it. It's against our state law, correct, Donnie? What is the law on that? Why is it that we can't change it? So we're stuck with this problem, that we have to meet these obligations that we shouldn't have to do. We should be able to change this to a different system.
Correct, Commissioner. Under the Pension Act for the state, we're under the system we have. The state would have to amend it to allow us to do that.
The state legislatures would have to amend the law.
Correct.
In order for us, the county, to change it to a regular 401k plan that we don't have to fund forever. The state. So the state is saying to the taxpayers, you're constantly going to have to worry about this. So the state legislature should be allowing us to decide that. They shouldn't be mandating that, just as Fran had said, the state throws these mandates down to us and we're obligated to abide by them at the taxpayer's expense. So, you know, I mean, there's multiple ideas that came up that, you know, just can't fix it. So it's just going to either be a tax increase, or we're going to try and cut costs in other areas to save the taxpayer from having that tax increases, which is what we've been doing for the past 4 years, is cutting areas, trying to cut different budgets so that we would not have to, subject our taxpayers to a tax increase, and we've done that. And it isn't easy. It's very difficult. I mean, I spent hours on this thing. And, you know, I mean, it's constantly all year long. It doesn't just, I mean, we have salary board meetings 4 times a year. People are asking for raises. It's like a cry, you know, they come in here, we do our budget, and then they want a raise. I don't understand that. On top of the raise they already got. That just annoys me. But stay for the salary board meeting, but that's where that's at in regards to pension funding. We did allocate funding to it, though. But if Commissioner Terriani feels we need to put more in, then he should submit it and let Tom work on the numbers to see if it's doable or not, because ultimately, Tom does help us make a lot of these decisions because he can work out the numbers to see if they're doable or not in regards to, do we have the money? And can we move one fund over here and get rid of this and put that there? I mean, it's like a puzzle. And it's every day you're working on it, every day, which you know because you're in finance. So, but anyway, so I guess that's what I have to say about pensions. I mean, submit it, Commissioner, and ask Tom if it's doable, and we'll go from there and talk about it. Thanks.
Okay. 19-0280.
Thank you, Commissioner.
19-0280, first reading of the 2020 budget.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is the first reading today taking place. The second reading will be on November 6, 2019. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Department of Community Affairs, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, annual budget for the County of Lackawanna for the year 2020. Ordinance number 262. An ordinance of the County of Lackawanna and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania fixing the tax rate and enacting the budget for the year 2020 and appropriate specific sum estimated to be required for the specific purposes of the county government herewithin set forth during the current fiscal year. Be it ordained and enacted, and it is hereby resolved and enacted by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania. Section number 1, that a tax be and the same is hereby levied on all properties within the said county subject to taxation for county purposes for the fiscal year 2020 as follows. Tax rate for the general county purposes, the sum of 41.10 mils on each dollar and assessed value, or the sum of $411.00 on each $100 of assessed valuation. For debt purposes, the sum of 12.50 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation, or the sum of 125 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. For the purpose of the county library system, the sum of 2.82 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation, or the sum of 28.20 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. For the purpose of the culture and education fund, the sum of 1.0 mils, or the sum of 10.00 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. Total millage for all purposes is the sum of 57.42 mils. Section number 2, all prior ordinances or resolutions or parts thereof inconsistent therewithin are repealed. And this is the first reading, second reading taking place on November 6th, 2019.
Okay. There'll be no action today. It will be on November 6th, which will be the passage of the budget. What I would like to say is this. Joan brought up that, going down the path of the city. We are not near going down the path of the city. This is a very efficient, effective government. It's been here for 4 years. It is a juggling act. I'm here for 7 years and 10 months, and it's never easy. You're working on behalf of the citizens every day with their money in your thoughts at all times. The last thing you want to do is increase taxes. It's unaffordable for our citizens. There will be other municipalities that taxes will be going up this year. That is a fact. Ours will not be. Our budget, I think, is a good budget. Could we put more money in for the pension? Yes, that would be great. But the whole idea is to make sure that it works on behalf of all of our citizens, not just our employees, all of our citizens. It's there's a lot of hard work that's put into this budget. We had approximately 4 meetings. If you wanted to come out and voice your opinion, and these are our own meetings, any one of the commissioners can go to these meetings and voice their opinion. Myself and Commissioner Cummings have voted on the last 3 budgets. If you do not have a budget in Lackawanna County government, by February, the whole county starts to implode. our stable bond rating goes, everything falls apart. So you have to make the decision. You want a budget or you don't want a budget. You got to make it happen. We make sure that there's a budget every year because we're working on behalf of our employees and our citizens because this is the only government. We have 40 municipalities. This is the only government in Lackawanna County that touches every single citizen in some way. I think our services are efficient, effective. I think we do a great job with what we have. And Bill Browning's department is one of the prime examples. Always comes up to the plate when it comes to budget, make sure that we're within the means of his department. You know, it's not easy. It really isn't. It's easy to say no. It's hard to say yes. It's hard to make big decisions like this building here. This was all put together in less than 3 years. We bought this building in April of 2016. We were basically moving in here for December of 2018. And we're in 19 now. 13 different locations were put into this building. We're from 13 to 5 locations downtown Scranton. For those who don't know the 5 locations, it's the courthouse. It's our gateway center. It's our work center. It's probation. And it's the Globe, the Lackawanna County Government Center. This is something that government has wanted to do for the longest time. We spent tens of millions of dollars on leases and rents. Somebody had to have the guts to do this. We, the two of us, made that happen. And lots of other things that happen in Lackawanna County. It's not a government that just sits there. It's a government that's innovative, that's looking for alternative ways to save money, looking for opportunities, and working on behalf of the citizens every day in all different capacities. And I could sit and talk about it all day long. I'm not going to. But all I know is this. We're not going to have a tax increase, and that's good for our citizens of Lackawanna County. And the services, will they have changed? No. The same services that they were yesterday, and they will be January 3rd. Same services. Okay.
I would like to expand on one thing you said. We are not the city of Scranton.
We are not the city of Scranton, and that drives me nuts.
Control over the city of Scranton.
No, nothing.
We can't control the city council or the school district. And it's amazing to me that some people actually believe that we can somehow change the corruption in Scranton. It's not going to happen. We don't have any control over that. We're the county. We oversee every city and borough here. We have nothing to do with anything in the city of Scranton school district or their city council. We don't make decisions for them. You guys in Scranton elect those people to do that. For people that don't live in Scranton, that has nothing to do with Lackawanna County government. Nothing. God, even the people that are running for office don't understand the difference between the county and the city, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me?
And we'd get thrown in as that corruption, and we'd throw in the city and Lackawanna County. There's no corruption here.
Well, I'd like to
Corruption
know
is
what that
corruption.
is.
Let me explain what corruption is.
There
Corruption
is.
is if the sitting commissioners get there's a situation going on at the prison, and the commissioners don't do anything about it. We did. We brought it to the attention of the district attorney's office. We brought it to the attorney general's office. That's the only thing that's really happened in Lackawanna County government. Us being proactive and making sure that the prison was investigated, whether it was the district attorney's office or the attorney general's office.
Or other departments.
Or any other departments. We'll move forward now. Okay, let's go down to 19-0268, approving current payables.
Thank you, Commissioner. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the following payables. Lackawanna County General Fund numbers 290444 through 291593 inclusive, totaling $5,944,228.78. Electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $7,034,183.09.
Controller DeBilio, everything?
Good morning, Commissioners. All invoices on today's payable list have been audited and approved by the Controller's Office. There is a check related to the Attorney General's office's probe of our county prison. That's a check on page 13 in the amount of $15,320.85, payable to Myers, Breyer, and Kelly. Any United Neighborhood Center invoices are not involving economic development.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Yes, I do. Didn't they receive a $70-some thousand check at economic development to pay for a project?
I'll have to look at that, Commissioner.
To be reimbursed to the state?
Is anybody here from Economic Development?
You're not aware of us of any check coming in from one of the municipalities on a project that we already funded, and they're reimbursing us?
From Jessup? I'll look into it for you. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion approving current payables. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. 19-0259, approving a lease agreement.
Thank you, Commissioner. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby enter into a lease agreement with Scranton Life Realty Company for the Office of Community Corrections to commence November 1st, 2019 and end on October 1st, 2021. And here to speak on this motion is Brian Jeffers.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning, Brian.
Currently, the District Attorney's Office is moving into the Gateway Center, which means we are required to move out. We were originally relocating into the courthouse, but the courthouse is not ready for us yet until they go out into the Central Court. The processing center goes into the area behind the prison. Chief Pantuso and Mr. Rodway looked for adequate space for us, or any space for us, for that matter, anywhere currently in the county. There wasn't any, and they came up with this plan, and the money will come out of our revenues and not out of the taxpayers' fund.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Jeffers? I'd like to make a motion approving a lease agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Board.
19-0260.
Thank you, Commissioner. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna does hereby authorize an amendment to Resolution 19-0246 from October 2nd, 2019 for the revisions of the following Community Development Block Grant Program to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. Whereas Lackawanna County, on behalf of Glenburn Township and Springbrook Township, is amending the revision of the federal fiscal year 2014 Community Development Block Grant, the revision will transfer the remaining funds from the public facilities line items for the Borough of Mayfield, Mayfield Borough Building ADA Ramp Reconstruction Project, $65,125.84. The funds will be transferred to the Public Facilities line item for the Glenburn Township Ramp and Platform Repairs, $27,756.84, and the Public Facilities line item for the Springbrook ADA Restroom Project, $37,369. Whereas all other items, amendments, definitions and provisions for the previously approved Resolution 19-0246 shall remain the same and be adopted and incorporated as if fully set forth herein. Now therefore be it resolved that the county has complied with the terms of the Pennsylvania Act 179 and has met all citizen participation requirements in connection with the above-mentioned revisions. Adopted at a regular meeting taking place October 23rd, 2019. Here to speak on this resolution is Acting Director of Economic Development, Brenda Sacco.
Good morning. This resolution is amending a previous resolution approving a submission for CDBG revisions for the fiscal year 2014 funds to include the Springbrook ADA Restroom Project. These resolutions are requirements of the CDBG program, which will ensure that there's citizen participation within the use of these funds.
Does the board have any questions? Does the board have any questions? I'd like to make a motion amending the resolution approving the CDBG submission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
I'm going to abstain on this vote for a vote of no confidence in this department.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0261.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is authorizing the filing of additional local share grant account grant applications, authorizing the filing of applications with the Monroe County Local Share Account grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for various projects as detailed. Whereas Lackawanna County is interested in promoting economic development and revitalization within Lackawanna County, and whereas Lackawanna County is submitting grant applications to the Public Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, through the Monroe County Local Share Grant Program on behalf of various agencies as detailed. Boy Scout of America Troop 42, $5,992. Storage equipment, trailer purchase, and outfitting. Number 2, Discovery Preschool, $63,315. Building and rehab modernization. Number 3, Inter-Lakota Animal Sanctuary, $85,880, 1 cent. Mezzanine and stairway construction project. Number 4, the Institute for Public Policy and Economic Development, $35,000. Career and occupational data information for parents of K-12 students. Number 5, Jessup Hose Company, number 2, $214,284, building expansion. Number 6, Scranton Cooperative Farmers Market, $24,014, electrical updates, surveillance equipment, and kitchen renovations. Whereas Lackawanna County does hereby authorize the chairman of the Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners to sign and authorize all documents and accept any awards related to these Monroe County local share grants. And now, therefore be it resolved, this 23rd day of October, Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners does hereby authorize the submission of these applications to the Monroe County Local Share Account Grant Program on behalf of the above-named entities and their respective projects. And here to speak on the resolution, once again, is Brenda Sacco.
This resolution is authorizing the filing of 6 additional applications with the Monroe County Local Share Account Grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. There were 16 previous applications, so this brings it a total of 22 that were submitted this year.
Does the board have any questions?
No, just a comment. This is again to the public, Mark. This is our loan share grant from Monroe County. This is casino money, correct?
It's the local share account grant.
Which is the
yes.
casino money?
It's the gaming fund.
Gaming funds, casino money, the same thing? Just to clarify it for the public, Brenda, can you say they're the same thing or not?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so to the public, this is casino money that the citizens voted on to be spent to help them lower their tax bills. And this is why I may support the projects that are listed on the grant applications, but I cannot in good conscience vote for any of them because of the fact that the money was voted on by the people to be spent to help them with their taxes at their house, not to be handed out to different people for any other projects. It was, the sole purpose was voted on by the people to help them with their property tax relief. If the state or governor was going to change these laws as they did, I believe they should have put it back on the ballot to vote on again, but they didn't. They just changed these laws and allow this to happen and use your tax dollars in different ways than you were told initially it was going to be used for. So that is why I'm not supporting those grants. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion authorizing the filing of additional local shares account grant applications. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
No.
Yes. 19-0262.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is approving Lackawanna County's Community Reinvest Program applications. Whereas the Board of Commissioners has established the Lackawanna County Community Reinvest Program, and whereas the Board of Commissioners is interested in assisting local communities, organizations, and agencies in the revitalization of neighborhoods, since they are the foundation for families and community values. And whereas the Lackawanna County Community Reinvest Program has been allotted monies from the Lackawanna County Economic Development Initiative to be made available to county, municipalities, municipal authorities, and tax-exempt charitable and educational organizations. And whereas Lackawanna County hereby authorizes the chairman of the Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners to sign all documents related to these grants. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby allocate funding from the Lackawanna County Community Reinvest Program to the following applicants for the following amounts pertaining to Ronald McDonald House, $10,000. Bhutanese Cultural Foundation, $7,000. EB German Lodge Number 2, Scranton, $5,000. Trip Park Missy League, $5,000. Weston Park Teener League, $5,000. Mayfield Borough, $5,000. Chapa Davy, VFW Post 6082, Peckville, $4,800. Veterans Home Association, Jefferson Township, $7,000. Friendship House, $5,000. Women's Resource Center, $10,000. Archibald Borough, $14,000. Scott Softball Association, $5,000. Blakely Borough, $5,255. Blakely Borough, $5,000. Waverly Community House, $5,000. Mayfield Borough, $5,000. United Community Outreach Food Pantry in Peckville, $10,000. One Hot Meal, Scranton, $5,000. Friends of the Bucks, Dunmore, $5,000. Whitmore Hose Company, Mayfield, $5,000. Marine Corps League, $9,000. Scranton Historical Society, $10,000. Lackawanna River Conservation Association, $10,000. Troop Hose Company Number 1, $9,200. St. Ubaldo Society, $6,500. And here to speak once again is Brenda Sacco.
This resolution is approving 25 community reinvest projects, which are totaling $173,000 approximately. This is focusing on revitalization improvements of communities and neighborhoods. This is the 19th round of this program, and the overall public-private investment since its inception is over $8 million.
Does the board have any questions? Does the board have any questions?
No, I have some comments on it. This is a really good program by the government. This is actually your tax money that's being brought back into your communities at the county level. So through the Economic Development Office, they get these grants. And Brenda, could you tell the public how they would go about applying for these if they were looking, if there's someone that isn't aware of the Community Reinvest Program, just let them know how they would go about to apply or get help with their project.
Sure.
Thank
They
you.
reach out to the Economic Development Office and receive an application, and, you know, we're more than willing to help you through that application process, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
And how are they decided on who's, does everybody get these usually, or how do you?
We put forth all the applications that we received to the Board of Commissioners.
Good.
Basically, everyone got something, everybody.
Yes,
So, yeah, it's
there
not-
wasn't any that
Yeah.
I saw that wasn't funded.
Yeah.
in
Everybody's
this
getting
round.
something.
That's good. I mean, it's a good project. So for the community and the boroughs out there that are looking for some additional funding for some of their projects, this is actual county money. This is not a grant from the state or the federal government. This is your tax dollars that could be brought into your community to help you with projects that are helping you at your borough level or your municipality. There, you know, there's a match. Is there a match on these?
Most of them have a match, yes.
Okay. Is it at 50%?
These are projects that really are just, the community invest dollars help them get past that finish line to actually have these projects come to
Yeah, it's a really good
fruition.
project. So, thank you, and I support this project, especially since we're all taxpayers that are funding back into each one of our communities. Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Terriani?
No, I'm good.
This is really, this money absolutely gets these smaller projects over the finish line. And if it wasn't for this stream of money, these projects just wouldn't be finished. I'd like to make a motion approving the Lackawanna County Community Reinvest Program applications. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. 19-0263.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is approving human services provider agreements. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the provider agreements for the Department of Human Services with Meals on Wheels and Jewish Family Services for fiscal year 1920, FY 19-20 as attached. And here to speak on this resolution is Bill Browning.
Morning, Bill.
Commissioners. The Human Service Development Fund is the safety net program that funds programs for people in need that fall between the ages of 18 and 60. Under 18, obviously, it's Office of Youth and Family Services. Over 60, it's aging. So these are two contracts, Meals on Wheels and Jewish Family Services, to provide needy families or needy individuals, actually, that come into that category.
Does the board have any questions? I'd like to make a motion to approve the Human Service Provider Agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0264.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is approving the Homeless Assistance Program agreements. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve agreements for the Department of Human Services and its providers for the Homeless Assistance Program Agreement, HAP, for fiscal year 2019 through 2020 for the following: Catherine McCauley Center, Catholic Social Services, and the United Neighborhood Centers. And once again, to speak on this resolution is Director of Human Services, Bill Browning.
The Homeless Assistance Program, the state-funded program, covers shelter, care, rental assistance, bridge housing, and other services to help with homeless families. It's part of our block grant.
Okay, does the board have any questions?
Bill, is this the one that you reviewed with me with the hotel charges or no?
I believe so, yeah. This would have any kind of a rental, well, it's mostly rental assistance. They do also do hotel stays for us on our behalf.
For emergency? Yeah.
Correct.
This is what the checks that Gary has been talking about. It's actually a good program, so I'm glad that they're helping the community out in that way. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion approving the Homeless Assistance Program Agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0265.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is approving the Office of Youth and Family Services Provider and Professional Contracts. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the Department of Human Services Office of Youth and Family Services Providers and Professional Contracts for fiscal year July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 as attached. Here to speak once again is Bill Browning.
The contracts in question: Clear Vision is a placement resource for juvenile probation. The Bear Foundation is a foster care group that we will be contracting with for consulting. They have certain efficiencies in their program that we'd like to replicate in ours. The provider contracts are with two drug and alcohol counselors that are primarily for juvenile probation, and they're specific to teens. Prior to this, teens would be part of young adult groups, which could include actual adults in drug and alcohol, and we found that that was not productive.
Does the board have any questions? I'd like to make a motion approving the Office of Youth and Family Services Provider for Professional Contracts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
19-0266.
This is approving a professional service agreement for the prison. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does approve the professional service agreement Jean Marie Pregman Molesky, a licensed cosmetologist in good standing in the Commonwealth, to provide services at the Lackawanna County Prison to commence October 1st, 2019 and expire September 30th, 2024.
Does the board have any questions?
I think it's a great job that we have somebody out there. I didn't know we had somebody else that does this. I was looking for perms. And
You were wondering about coloring.
We're looking
too.
for coloring, right, too,
Coloring,
Commissioner?
female,
Little
yeah,
coloring,
coloring.
little color?
Well, they're prisoners. They're still human beings, you know, so, yes.
Commissioner, quick question. Is this something the prison board would vote on first for Don Frederickson? Just asking.
I think we
This
would
comes
vote
out
on
of
it
our
first
gener-
and they would
this
vote
comes
on it
out of our
second.
general fund.
Commissioners
We
on the
talked
general
about it at
fund.
the prison
so,
board.
yeah, comes out of the Board of Prison.
I'd like to make a motion approving the professional services agreement for the prison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0267.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is appointments to the Workforce Development Board. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby reappoint the following individuals to the Workforce Development Board with a 2-year term to begin October 1st, 2019, and expire September 30th, 2021. Tom Donahue, Lamar, Scranton, Business Representative. Eric Isoda, Northeastern PA Industrial Resource Center, Economic Development Representative. John Tabatabe, ERA, One Source Realty, Business Representative, and John McNulty, State Mediator, Public Representative.
I'd like to make a motion for the appointments to the Workforce Development Board. Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani? Commissioner Cummings? Yes. Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0272.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is appointments to the Lackawanna Susquehanna BHIDEI Advisory Board. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby reappoint the following individuals to the Lackawanna Susquehanna BHIDEI Advisory Board. Lackawanna County Commissioner Patrick O'Malley, term to begin immediately and expire on January 6, 2020. Martin McGurran, Scranton, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2021. Gary Drapak, Scranton, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2020. James Scott, Clark Summit, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2019. James Comerford, Scranton, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2019. Also appointed to the following individuals of the Lackawanna County Susquehanna BHIDEI Advisory Board: Dory Waters, Clark Summit, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2021.
I'd like to make a motion for the appointments to Lackawanna Susquehanna BHIDEL Advisory Board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings? Yes. Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0273.
Thank you, Commissioner. These are appointments to the Human Services Advisory Board. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby make the following reappointments to the Human Services Advisory Board, all with a term to begin immediately and expire on June 30th, 2020. Molly Clark Dempsey from Dunmore, Gary Drapak from Scranton, Joseph X. Garvey, Scranton, James Gavin. Well, we have an address of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we're not certain about that. Jessica Letzel Aquilina, Clark Summit, and Susan Mancuso from Carbondale. Be it further resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby appoint the following individual to the Human Services Advisory Board with a term to begin immediately and expire on June 30th, 2020. Jerry Carey from Clark Summit.
I'd like to make a motion for the Human Service Advisory Board. Do I have a second? Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings? Yes. Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0274.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is appointment to the Lackawanna County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby appoint the following individual to the Lackawanna County Convention and Visitors Bureau: Alex Hazuri from Scranton, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2022.
I'd like to make a motion for Lackawanna County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Do I have a second? Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings? Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0275.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is appointment to the Health and Welfare Authority. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby make the following appointment to the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority: James Walsh from Scranton, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2021.
I'd like to make a motion for the appointment to the Health and Welfare Authority. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0276.
Appointments to the Lackawanna River Basin Sewer Authority. Be resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby reappoint the following individuals to the Lackawanna River Basin Sewer Authority: Thomas Wiskura from Blakely, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2023. William Curl Simpson, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2023. Joe Brady from Vandling, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2021. Paul Ruddy, Mayfield, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2021. Peter Larioni, Jessup, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2021. Al Chelik, Mayfield, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2020. Joseph Mercatilli, Music, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2022. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby appoint the following individual to the Lackawanna County River Basin Sewer Authority. Eric Kovaleski, Dixon City, term to begin immediately and expire on December 31st, 2020.
I'd like to make a motion for the appointment of Lackawanna County River Basin and Sewer Authority. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani? Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 19-0279.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is appointments to the OYFS Advisory Board. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby appoint the following individuals to the Office of Youth and Family Services Advisory Board. Dr. Michael Bocella, Valley View School District, Archibald. Mary Colon, Kunkletown, Pennsylvania. Leah Doherty, Dixon City. Aaron Keating, Old Forge. Nicole Lance, Scranton. Maureen Maurer Gray, NEPA Youth Shelter, Scranton. Jean Morgan, Avoca. And Deidre Spellman, Scranton.
I'd like to make a motion for the appointment of the OYFS Advisory Board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Okay. John, do I even have to?
Yeah, what's it gonna-
I'll make the motion to table it.
I'd like to make the motion to table 19-0278.
Pep, turn your mic on.
Sorry. I'd like to make a motion to table 19-0278. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question, this just appeared on the agenda yesterday after 2 o'clock, and we received a formal protest. And I was speaking with Attorney Sarah, and he seems to be of the opinion, and I spoke with some other people involved in this, so it may be in our best interest to avoid any litigation, additional expense to the county, that if we table this until the next meeting, would be a good idea. So I'd like to make a motion to table this.
We just made that
I
motion.
just made that motion.
Jerry.
Oh,
I just
okay,
made that
second.
motion. You weren't here.
Seconded
This,
it.
this is the project on Wyoming Avenue. These type of instances do come up all the time when you have different projects. We're going to look at it, reevaluate it, and hopefully have it back on for the November 6th meeting.
Okay.
Could I have a roll call? Motion on the table.
Commissioner Terriani?
To motion, to
To table.
table it, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Okay, opportunity for the public to address the board.
Go ahead, Joan.
Oh, yeah, Joan's gone. Okay.
Joan is gone?
Commissioners, other business.
Oh, I have business. I have a lot of business. Sorry. Jerry, you might want to get up and go for a walk or something, because I have a lot to talk about. But anyway, is he going? Yeah. Joan, thank you so much for coming in and going over the budgets, on your personal time, and for the questions. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I wish more people were doing that, because the actual budget does look a lot different than what we present to the public. So some items are very easily answered, and others you have to research a little bit, and I'll look more into those as well. So I do appreciate your time on that. Your point is in the FICA about Medicare and Social Security payments is something that I always like to bring to the attention of the public, because just as businesses have to match what each of their employees put into Medicare and Social Security, so does the county have to be obligated to do that as well. A lot of people don't understand that their employer actually matches whatever they put in to Medicare and Social Security, and that's by law. So if you have to pay $40 a week to Medicare and $20 to Social Security, your boss also pays $40 to Medicare and $20 to Social Security out of their profit. So, you know, a lot of people don't understand that that's an actual cost to our county, just as it would be a cost to a business owner. So the higher the wages, the higher the federal payroll tax is going to be for employers and the county and government officials. So that's kind of why a lot of government officials like to increase the minimum wage so that they can get more money from the taxes that they're collecting. In regards to the other questions with the pension, I already answered. I think I answered your thing on pension on my response anyway. That's the best I can come up with on that. And I'm trying to see if there's any other questions she had. Parks, Rec, DA. Was there any other questions I missed that you asked, Joan? Okay.
I think you answered them at that point.
Okay, thank you. Some of the items we talked about today were interesting, Commissioner. I didn't realize that some of these were going to be put on the agenda, so I was kind of taken aback by some of them to the public, so they understand what happened. I didn't know that these were on here, and there's some things that I actually I'm glad they're brought forward. Eric's Law, for instance, is kind of built on the foundation of what America is actually founded on, and that's our constitutional principles. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. We are a republic. That is by law. We are ruled by law, not man, because man is emotional and we fail a lot. So we are a country that's ruled by law, and we vote by democratic principles. And the law being that that's why we have to do a unanimous vote as a jury, because anybody can accuse someone of stealing something. And back in the Wild Wild West, they used to just, you know, hang people because they, you know, blame them for something that they didn't even give them due process to see if they were guilty of. That doesn't happen today because we have a rule of law that we follow and the courts follow, and it has to be a unanimous decision because of that reason. You know, it's not a mob rule mentality. It's it's based on law, and there's no, you can't play around with it. That's why they say it's the Lady Justice is blind, because she doesn't have emotion. It's just based on what the law states, and that's why a lot of the lawyers try and change it a lot of the time by appealing to your emotion, and they try and get the laws changed that way. That's why you have to be very careful, and that's why we're always told, you know, it's a republic if you can keep it. And those are, you know, famous last words that I remember. But I did like talking about that, and I'm glad that you brought it up, Commissioner. I just wish I had time to read over that a little bit more. And congratulations to Commissioner O'Malley on his fair presentation, the Fair Board plaque. It's well deserved. I know you were working on that for a few years, so I do support you in that and congratulate you on that work. I think you did a good job there. There was an article in the Scranton Times that we had responded to in regards to the elections, and did that run? Did our response run in their paper yet, or no?
I'm not sure if either one ran yet. They usually run within 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, there
Didn't
was
see the
some
paper day.
personnel issues that were discussed that have come up in the campaigns that are perplexing to me, that were actually reported to in the newspaper, reported in the newspaper that it's based off of commentary in their on the comment section of the Scranton Times by someone who doesn't even work here, and I find that very what's the word I'm looking for? It's actually, I find it appalling that somebody would be actually taking the words of a comment section and taking it as verbatim or fact when it isn't. You know, we have discussed salaries in public. I mean, Mark didn't usually come to the salary board meetings until I got here and requested him. I requested that he appear at these salary board meetings, which is coming up after this one, so that the public could see who's voting on raises and who's voting on what increases and who's asking for them. One of the items that I consistently complained about when I first came on board as a commissioner was the fact that there was no base salaries for each department employee. the unions have them, but we at the administrative level didn't have that. So if somebody left, let's just take for instance that was in the paper, one of our employees resigned and that position has not been filled yet. We have a director's position that is still empty. But we put an acting director in their place temporarily until we could see what happens there. But acting and director are two different things. So that's why the salary is not commensurate to what the previous person was getting, along with the fact that the previous person was there a couple of years longer. So
About 6 years.
yeah, so when we do bring people into a position, we look at all the instances that go into that job. You know, it's something that HR works with us on, but they usually do the interviews and then they bring them to us. But that is the answer to that, just for the Scranton Times. I mean, the Fran was in as an interim with Donnie, and then when she did move into the actual position, she was brought up to Andy Wallace's salary. So I don't know why we sent that response in a while ago. I don't know why they didn't print it yet, but
this past Friday or Saturday.
you know, as far as, you know, personnel matters and issues, you know, I think that that person that commented on that has absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And there's a lot of things that go on in each different department throughout the county that is handled by HR on a daily basis. We generally don't get involved unless we're requested, but when we are requested, you know, we will try and do whatever we can to help. You know, it's just when people are, I'm surprised that the privacy of employees would be put out in the comment section by someone who doesn't even work here, but it's unfortunate, and I'll have more to say about that at another time, but that's just what I'm going to throw out there now. And I think that before they speak, they should know the facts. That's all, I guess. They should look into the facts as to what the actual answers are before guessing and throwing something out there that was told to them third hand or hearsay or from the comment section of the Scranton Times, which I'm told never to read because they're just ridiculous, some of the things they say. I wanted to also talk about some of the things that were in the articles. I don't want to lose track of that. Let's talk about these things. I have a lot of notes. Sorry, guys. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't forget anything, so bear with me. Okay, money pit. Interesting comment. When I first got here, maintenance of the buildings, including the prison, was pretty bad, I think. We did do a tour of the prison, and we cleaned, what did we do, Commissioner? We
Repainted, they did a lot of work inside the prison.
Got all the air ducts cleaned out.
Scoured it.
You couldn't breathe in there. Did a lot of work over there, and then decided that we needed some additional work done because, you know, they brought out the fact that at the basement, and even Commissioner Terriani was over there and saw how the working conditions were for Central Court, and some of the cameras and everything where they're working was just for our officers was just unacceptable. And feel free to go over and look at what they were dealing with. I mean, you can't even, they have 3 or 4 fans in this little closet that they were all sitting in with 4 computers, which you know how much heat comes out of a computer. Electric City, I don't know, Mari, how many times we're talking about elevators, and you know how many times you came to me talking about how the situation over there, the Bricks building over here, the landlord was so good with us, worked with us to make all those improvements over there when I first came in, and took a tour, and we had all those issues that were all fixed, and I do appreciate him doing that. And our building, 200 Adams Avenue, where Tom Durkin had a row of buckets along the windowsill to catch the rain and the ceiling tiles that were falling through all the time. The air quality that we had to deal with over there. The, the gateway basement where our controller sat. Controller, you know the situation. I mean, the elevator there and the repairs that are going on there right now. You know, we're talking about a cost of a building where all of you got to come into a brand-new setting, and how it's a money pit, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'll tell you what. You could breathe in this building. There are some issues that we have with the parking lot, which we don't control. But all in all, I mean, we've taken you from some buildings that really were not conducive to what your work required and brought you into a new building where you can work, and we're working on the bugs of that. But it's, you know, those were repairs that we, you know, were looking at as well, and the work environment that they were in, and that's just a small list. I know that there's more, but I don't want to insult anyone. It's just, I'm really tired of hearing about the Globe and how it's such a bad idea. I mean, would I have been more happy to be down in Old Forge in a brand new building? Yeah, I would have. But unfortunately, I didn't get that.
$60 million.
I didn't get, yeah, and the cost of a new building is what? You guys did look at it.
It was like really high. It was, the land acquisition stuff was in the 60s.
Okay, so, I mean, it's just
Not centrally
silliness.
located, not revitalizing a street that's been dead for the last 10 years, Wyoming Avenue, now is alive.
I don't know. I just wanted everything consolidated so that taxpayers didn't have to go from Mayfield to Scranton to back up to Mayfield and back down to Scranton just to get grandparents' rights taken care of, or domestic relations issues, getting a check or having a hearing. You know, I mean, or going to voter registration, walking from Davis Street all the way into voter registration, you know, with the walker, for crying out loud. It's consolidated, and it's better for the taxpayers, and that's who we're ultimately accountable to. We're not accountable to the powers that be, that whoever they are, that control this nonsense that goes on out there in the public, that, you know, these good old boys that just have nothing better to do but throw crap out. Anyway, corruption in Scranton, we have no control over the corruption in Scranton, as we talked about. You know, we don't say who the mayor is going to be. We don't decide what city council is going to vote on in Scranton. That would be like saying that we do that in Carbondale, that we have some control over Carbondale, because Carbondale's our other large city in Lackawanna County. We have no control over the city of Carbondale. We have no control over the city of Scranton. Can somebody please tell these people out there that we don't have control over the city of Scranton or the Scranton School District, so that they understand that? It's just amazing to me that people actually think that we do. If this is what our voters are thinking, then we need to have a complete re-education of our society so that they understand what the difference between the county is, the city, and the borough. Like, because obviously they just don't understand what the difference is. I can't understand that. I can't understand that. Stormwater regionalization. Commissioner, I really was interested to hear what you had to say about regionalization, because I'm wondering what the difference between regionalization is and what they're asking to do. It's still a rain tax, and it would still be controlled by the county, unless you're thinking at the state level. I don't know what you mean.
It didn't happen yet, but what they would be looking at is trying to make it would probably be called like a county rate tax or something. But I just think that the federal government's they should take care of this mandate. It's something that people can't afford.
Well, not you, Commissioner Notarianni. I would be interested to know for him to expand on that regionalization, because as far as I knew, the regionalization was coming to the county, that we would have to be in control of that. And I told everybody, it was a big fat no. I would never pass a rain tax here at the county level. And I don't understand why it's even being discussed. That's ridiculous to put a rain tax on anybody. I don't understand that, regionalization or otherwise. You know, I just wonder if anybody even knows what they're talking about when I read this stuff. And then some of the issues that I voted on today, I don't know, John, should I call an executive session for that? Because it needs to be taken care of. I've had enough of this. No, is John still here?
John's not here.
Is Donnie here? Is that something I can call an executive session for? I think we need to have something, because I can't get these two together, so I would like Chairman to have an executive session in regards to some issues that are legally affecting our county, and has not been taken care of this entire year and needs to be addressed.
An option would be to hold an executive session on that issue on a specific time. And then
No, it has to be now or never, because it's not going to happen. I've requested meetings, I've requested without nothing, to no avail.
Listen, I have no problem with that. The problem is we have a whole room waiting for us. Can we, let's get this meeting done, and we'll speak right afterwards, and then we'll start with the salary board, okay?
As long as both commissioners
Yes,
are going to be
yep.
available to sit in the meeting and talk about it.
Yep.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Commissioner Notarianni?
I'm good.
Okay, I would just like to congratulate all the Steamtown participants in the Steamtown Marathon, especially Heidi Peoples, who's from Riverside and won her 5th Steamtown Marathon, and Tony Seminaro is coming back for the 25th silver anniversary Steamtown Marathon. For those who don't know Tony Seminaro, he's 80-some years old. He's probably one of the best runners in the world in his age group. He's an amazing man. And last but not least, I'd like to just wish all of its children in Lackawanna County and everywhere else a happy and safe Halloween. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go talk real quick.
See, he's gone.